It's time for To the Max Sports, where we talk about sports. They're just two guys, Max and Drew, in a bar talking all things sports. Well, without the bar. And the beer. Wait, why aren't we in the bar?
Hello, and welcome to the Max Sports. You all know what time it is. Time for To the Max Sports. So,
and I got the logo this week.
Yeah,
did you see that? I got the logo.
I like that, finally. Well, as you guys know, it's Monday, so we're doing a special post-draft analysis. I brought in my sports guru, Carlos, all things draft. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Drew, I appreciate you for having me. I'm super excited for this. So
I was down Sunday at McIntyre's having some adult libations and started.
Wait, hold on. I heard during pre-show it was during the third day of the draft. How many libations did you have? Because the third day of the draft was Saturday.
I was drinking all weekend watching the draft.
Okay.
Forgot most of it.
I can confirm that.
He didn't ask me to leave, so I guess I wasn't that bad. But Carlos is a barkeep down there, so if you ever want to have a good time and you're in San Antonio, go to McIntyre's, ask for Carlos. He'll take good care of you. So what'd you think of the draft, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of like what everybody else kind of thought. You know, all the twists and turns, all the storylines going into it. It was just kind of action-packed from like beginning to end, which I think, you know, everybody kind of enjoys, you know, the drama and stuff like that. You know,
Sure.
It builds a lot of anticipation and stuff like that. So,
did anybody feel sorry for Will Levis?
How can you feel sorry for a guy who has...
Okay. Look, you can tell she's like, dude, we got a picture up for those of you who are listening on the radio. She's like, you just cost me a lot of money, but that's a nice consolation prize.
Well, I mean, I also don't feel sorry for a guy who's going to still be making a couple million a year.
I still don't think he's that good, and I think that he's still a reach at 32.
It's interesting to have seen the whole Will Levis Richardson thing happen. I mean, there's a little bit more tape on Levis from his college career. Anthony Richardson, I don't think anyone really knows what this guy's going to be in the NFL.
So let's break that down. We'll go by teams, or we'll talk about teams, but let's break down the quarterbacks. You know, I told you before the draft, I thought Levis was overrated. I figured he would slip. I think there was a lot of, let's just say, Vegas odd makers out there that were steering people the wrong way. People even had him going number one.
What do you mean Vegas? What do you mean Vegas odds makers? Will Levis himself was pushing the narrative.
That's just to move odds up and down, man. So let's break it down. Let's go with Stroud or Bryce Young. Who would you have taken first?
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like they're 1A and 1B. You know, I think they both come from really good programs. You know, they throw a beautiful ball most times. You know, the one thing that I keep kind of going back and forth on is usually Bryce Young's, it's not his height, but it's his size. It's the frame. And the biggest thing I keep thinking about is, you know, guys like Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, the durability just hasn't been there for those guys. And one of the most important traits for quarterbacks and, you know, guys in the NFL is availability.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not available, you know, it's kind of hard to justify one better than the other. So I just think, you know, we got to take out the idea, though, the injuries. You know, you just never know what's going to happen to some of these guys. So,
yeah.
I think that's why I just give CJ.
That was Bob. That was his biggest take, that, you know, he was worried about his height and his size. If you were the GM, who would you have taken?
I honestly would be comfortable with both guys. I mean, I feel like, you know, they both have a good head on their shoulders. They, you know, they have high football IQs. They throw the ball very well. They're both very mobile. But I'm just going to have to kind of give it to CJ Stroud just a little bit more, just because and I know it sounds, you know, not great, but just because of the size, the durability issues that Bryce might encounter in the future.
Now, did you think Richardson going 4 was a bit of a reach, or is that a project a la Jalen Hurts kind of situation they're hoping they fall into.
I actually really like, Anthony Richardson at 4. And the reason being is it's going to the Indianapolis Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Usually if you're picking in the top 5, your team is not very talented. But if you look at this roster, it is just loaded from offense to defense. You have a really good offensive line that last year had some injuries, but coming back healthy this year. You still have one of the best guards in Quentin Nelson. You have hopefully a healthy Jonathan Taylor. You think about just think about that backfield right there. Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor running full speed at you,
Yeah, I'm more looking for Richardson's upside. It's more for me the coaching he's going to get in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
He had no coaching at the college level. So generally I laugh at the underwear Olympics, the combine and the pro days. It's like, okay, go out there in your shorts and throw a ball and hit the ceiling.
Zach Wilson.
So all that Richardson did, generally I would go, I don't care. But for him, it's not going to be a case of what is his ceiling. I don't think that's what the Colts were drafting for, that ceiling. And that's where you always draft. You are drafting for a ceiling. And possibly Richardson's ceiling may be higher than Stroud's and Young's. Possibly, with the right coaching.
As far as athletic ability, I mean, yeah, he's there. It's just, can he put it all together and compete at the NFL level? We'll see.
Can he be coached?
Yeah. Well, they say his ceiling's higher than his floor or whatever. But having moved along, do you think 30 teams are going to look back and say we made a mistake not grabbing Will Levis, or did he fall? I was never a really big fan of his. Honestly, I don't think any of these quarterbacks in this year's draft are what I'm going to call generational. I don't see 8 to 10 year careers with these top 4 guys.
No, and Levis looks like a douche nozzle from the fraternity.
He's going to be on The Bachelor, that's for sure.
He kind of, he looks like some douchebag on The Bachelor, or he kind of looks like Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor got all scraggly.
I mean, I don't...
That picture, anyway.
I mean, I shouldn't go into the thing that the scouts did in the movie Moneyball in their scout room, where they're going, well, he's got an ugly girlfriend, must not be good.
Well, a lot of quarterbacks went late 4th, early 5th.
Oh,
is there anybody that you all like that could be that Tom Brady? I got one guy I really like.
Not Stetson Bennett for me. I am very surprised where he went. I wasn't expecting him to go in the 4th.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm going to go opposite of what you said. I think Stetson Bennett, I think the one thing you always look about is opportunity. The Rams, if you look at their roster, it looks like it's been decimated. They lost almost, it looks like half the roster. If you go through some of the names on these guys, you don't even have a profile picture for them. So I think, with given Matthew Stafford's injury history, Stetson Bennett is the only other quarterback on this roster. Unless they bring somebody in, I just think based off pure opportunity, they're, let's just say if the season's coming down towards the end and, they're not in playoff contention, which I don't see them being in playoff contention, they might just throw him in there and just say, hey, let's try to save Matthew Stafford. And, he'll probably end up playing for a different team.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett. This is my prediction, and I'll buy around at McIntyre's if this prediction doesn't come true. Stetson Bennett will not take a snap in the regular season. Will not take a snap in the regular season.
Yeah, you said that about the former OSU quarterback, and you're right about that.
I did for different reasons that turned out being true.
He's definitely not going to take another snap.
No. And, I mean, for me, Stetson Bennett, was a great leader. There's a reason why he's almost 26 years old, and now he's finally coming out of college, and it's not because he's stupid, because he isn't. I mean, it took him that long. So,
journeyman at best. Yeah. My sleeper is, and I forgot his name, of course, but I think of my sleeper quarterbacks, get out of Houston.
Oh,
it's a cool name.
Clayton Tune.
Yeah, Clayton Tune.
Yeah, he's nice, man. He throws a really nice ball.
He's got tight spiral. He's got the NFL body.
Where'd he go?
He went to the University of Houston.
No, where did? Oh, there he is. Cardinals.
Yeah, he went to the Cardinals. So, Murray's status is still kind of up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So if this kid has a good spring and Murray's still out, which you never know with an ACL injury, this kid may be starting a few games.
Yeah, they do have a couple of guys on the roster. I know they have like David Plow and Colt McCoy, but once again, we talk about smaller frames, smaller size quarterbacks, especially if they have some type of mobility, that's always going to be a question, but I do like that one. Because another guy too, obviously, is Hendon Hooker. If, for whatever reason, Jared Goff doesn't play well in the beginning, you already know that they're going to be asking for Hendon Hooker.
Another project, but talented.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like this class of quarterbacks, going back to like Will Levis, I think, best case scenario, he doesn't have to deal with the pressure of being a first round quarterback.
True.
And it's kind of ironic that he goes to Tennessee where, Malik Willis last year, the hype train, kind of like Will Levis kind of picked up a possible first round pick, and it didn't get picked till the third round and stuff like that. And similar style quarterback, a very gifted athlete, strong arm, Malik Willis did the same things he did at his pro day. So for me, if I'm Ryan Tannehill at this point, I'm actually asking for the trade as well. If you look at what they did in the draft, it doesn't support them right here, right now in the moment.
No, I agree. It was kind of like, hey, we're moving on from you, bud.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't like what they did in the draft, but we'll get to
We'll
that
see what
here.
happens. Going on to the running backs. And
What the hell are the Falcons doing?
So that was weird. But the Falcons need help kind of everywhere, maybe?
You don't draft a running back in the first round.
Well, only if he's generational.
And he is not.
And he's really good.
He's not generational.
But I don't know if he's generational.
I mean, so I'll say this on Bijan. Yeah, everybody keeps saying that you shouldn't take a running back in the first round. I do believe Bijan has that special it factor. I've actually seen him play a couple times. He's right here up in Austin. We're in San Antonio. I'm a UTSA alumni, so I went to that game this past year. And, even with poor offensive line play, he still manages to break off, 30, 40-yard runs. I believe he has top-end speed, balance, quickness. The player comp that I keep finding myself going back to, and I know a lot of people have thrown it out there, is Edgerrin James.
Yeah.
And then and it makes sense really too if you look at the front office for the Atlanta Falcons. Head coach Arthur Smith comes over from Tennessee, where they had Derrick Henry, where they just wanted to run the ball. This offensive line is pretty solid. It's got a lot of really good pieces in place. Desmond Ridder at quarterback, you want to, if you're going to make this guy the quarterback, if you really want him to be the next Jalen Hurts in the second round or whatever, you got to protect him.
Some run support.
Yeah, you got to have, you got to have that option, and I get it. Tyler Aguilar, the 5th round pick last year, had over 1,000 yards last year. But, he's going to be a great 2. Like I said, if you look at the landscape of the NFC right now, it's the teams that run the ball are just dominant.
Yeah.
That kid that backed up in Texas, he got selected.
Roshan Johnson.
Roshan,
yeah.
I mean, he ain't a bad second fiddle, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't really want to give up too much, but he's definitely a guy that I could see potentially being, the starting running back.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done.
When it's all said and done.
If you look at his report back in college, he started off as a quarterback. And then they had so many injuries at running back, they asked him to play running back. And then he ended up, becoming the backup to Bijan Robinson. But, what's interesting about this running back class, though, if you look back,
I think it's a strong class.
I think after the first 2 guys, there's really not somebody that I absolutely love, like a Damian Pierce or a Kenneth Walker.
Right. But I'm talking about if you take the overall body of work, I think that they potentially made with kid out of Illinois, some others. They actually potentially may have a better body of work 8 to 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Let's just say 5 to 7 years, because we know the lifespan of a running back.
Yeah.
Or more impactful than maybe some of these quarterbacks. What do you think about the kid out of Alabama? Was that a reach?
Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, so what I was going to say was, if we haven't had 2 running backs taken in the first round since 2017. And if you remember, it was Leonard Fournette, I believe, at 4th overall.
Yeah.
And then Christian McCaffrey at 8th. So, I feel like this draft, these two running backs are kind of mirrors of those guys, if you think about it. Their play style, Leonard Fournette's a downhill runner.
Right.
Bijan, he's also a downhill runner, but has a little bit more finesse than maybe Leonard Fournette, maybe quicker.
If they have any kind of careers like those two have had, then it was a smart decision. My Bengals picked up a running back.
Yep.
Because we lost our backup to Denver.
Chase Brown out of Illinois. He's got his brother that just got drafted too. They have a really good story on ESPN. They played it a couple of times, and I think he's going to be a solid pickup for the Bengals. I'm not really sure what's going on with Joe Mixon still. He's coming off kind of a down year. They don't have Samaje Perine, so I thought that was a really good addition.
So they need to pick him up. And I think Mixon will, he's kind of got that attitude that, hey, you're coming in my house, I'm going to help you, let's get to work. I mean, when you watch Mixon on the field, man, he gives no quarters, man. He asks for no quarters and gives none. I mean, he's out there knocking heads off.
To go deeper in the sport, Eagles do the right thing and move up to pick up Carter?
Oh, yes. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
That people are going to look back and say, we definitely missed out here. I think this is the best defensive player in the draft without a doubt. When you have a guy who's that big, that fast, that quick, he can literally just move people over. He's going to be an absolute game wrecker. And for the Eagles to do what they did in the draft, I mean, obviously they're the big winners of the draft after getting Jalen Carter.
Yeah, on paper.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what that locker room can do for Carter.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been worried for some of the other teams higher, and even the Bears who had this pick before they traded down from it. I don't know if he has success in some of those locker rooms, but the Eagles, that's a veteran locker room. Those are veteran players from Georgia.
Yep.
So they're going to hopefully they slap some sense into him. Bring him up, raise him up to be a good young man, and hopefully he leaves what happened behind him.
Come to camp in shape.
Yeah, and the thing too is he's going to be behind Fletcher Cox, who's been one of the premier interior defensive linemen over the last 13 years.
He's going to have some great veteran leadership to kind of keep him on track. What do you think about Houston with their third pick, kind of moving up to?
Oh, no, I loved it. I felt like, so many times teams get so caught up in, wanting to collect all these draft picks. And they're pretty much, when you have like more than 10 draft picks, you're just trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. You're just hoping to find a guy in the 6th or 7th round that, he's a good role player. He's a good special teams guy. But I liked how aggressive they were. Now you have two blue chip players that you can kind of hang your hat on. Houston, as a football town, the Texans, they need something to hang their hat on. Yeah. Over the last couple of years, you talk about how much turmoil they've gone through.
They have a very nice stadium.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know what? They were competitive at the end of last year. Most of those games, they were competitive. They won a few. They won enough to keep them out of picking number one. Their defense was not bad last year.
Yeah, they played hard.
Considering how much they had to stay on the field because of their offense.
Yeah, and then I think with D'Amico Ryans too, him being a former player in Houston, he played with DeAndre Hopkins, he played with Brian Cushing, J.J. Watt. I think he's going to be able to really rally that team, rally that city just a little bit.
Hopefully he will, because I say Cleveland is where quarterbacks go to die. And Houston's where head coaches go to die.
No, the Jets. The Jets.
And the Jets.
And quarterbacks don't go to New York to die. New York gets them young and kills them before they're ever anything. So
So what do you think about? I think Baltimore did well. I guess they told Lamar, "Hey man, we're going to go out and get Beckham. We're going to get you some receivers in the draft."
Yeah,
you like the kid they drafted?
Yeah, no. Zay Flowers, I think, is actually, once again, for wide receivers, it's kind of what your offense is looking for. You're looking for a guy who's going to be, a guy to make you miss in open space. You need a guy who go get you 50-50 balls. But I just think for the complete body of work, I think Zay Flowers is the best wide receiver in this draft. I think
that's saying something.
Yeah, I think just the route tree that he can run. He's got great hands. Kind of reminds me of Marquise Brown, obviously with better hands. And the thing about Marquise Brown, I've always said, is that I feel like he's just a track guy playing football, where Zay Flowers is a football player with track speed.
Yeah. Although I think Seattle getting Najibbe Smith at 20.
Unbelievable.
That could go down as a draft steal too.
And I was interesting. I've heard some reports out of Baltimore about that, the path that deal took with Lamar, that actually has been going on for a good long while, and they've been keeping it quiet. It's not just something that happened in the last couple days before the draft.
I guess Lamar got the last laugh. He saved about 12% fees on agents.
Well, he's give it to his mom.
She deserves it.
Well, his mommy is his agent.
Yeah, Mother's Day is coming up, so you just think it's smart. Good for him.
He said, "Mommy, you're getting paid."
Yeah, good for him.
So who else was a winner before we talk about what you thought were some losers?
Yeah, so I have a couple of teams. I kind of went back and forth. I think obviously Philly, hands down. You look from top to bottom of their draft, even some of the guys they signed out after the draft, the guys they traded for, DeAndre Swift. Another team that I really like what they did was, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We look at the Jets, who, possibly we're looking at a left tackle. The Pittsburgh Steelers said, "Hey, we're gonna move up to get this guy." You know what I mean? I thought what they did in the first round there, the second round, getting Joey Porter Jr. What a steal. That's a guy who has first round ability, ran a little slower in the 40 in the combine. That dinged him, but I think he's going to be a really good football player for them. Obviously, his dad, Joey Porter Sr., used to play for them.
That was a cool story.
Yeah.
24 years to the day that his dad got drafted.
Yeah, that's stuff like that is awesome. And you look at the Steelers, man, they're kind of just picking up the brothers everywhere they go, the brothers and cousins, the Haywards. They also had a 4th round pick in Nate Herberg, who's a inside linebacker who his brother, I believe his name is Kevin Herberg. He got drafted a couple years ago from the Steelers.
It's just a stable franchise.
Yeah.
That may teeter and totter, but they always hang in there, man, and they're well coached, and I think they'll do well.
Yeah. One of the things also, too, I want to point out is the Steelers, they never seem to panic in the draft, I feel like they kind of just stayed at what they were. Players fell to them, and that was beautiful.
But do you think Pickens is that guy that can take him next level? Personally, I don't. I think he's got some skills. He can do some freakish things on the field, but I just think overall consistency, I just don't see this guy being that next level quarterback. Am I wrong?
Yeah, the jury's still out on Kenny Pickett. I do believe he has an opportunity to still be successful. One of the things I always hang my hat on is, he played at Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh kid, so he's got that little chip on his shoulder. It's just about him, being healthy. And I think now with an offensive line, I think he's going to be a guy who can really surprise. It's just going to be really tough because of the teams in this division. You look at the Bengals, who are going to be playoff contenders.
They went heavy on defense.
Ravens, even the Cleveland Browns. I know they, now with the whole suspension for Deshaun Watson's done. He's got a full year under his belt.
See what happens.
That's going to be tough.
What do you think about the because I'm a long-suffering Bengals fan. What do you think about their first pick?
Miles Murphy, I know we talked a little bit about it at McIntyre's, but I think, when you're picking late in the first round, it's super important to, take the best available player, even if it doesn't fit a need. I really didn't feel like the Bengals had a lot of needs. I know that maybe an upgrade at tight end, could have been an option. I know that they were probably looking at Dalton Kinea out of Utah, but even the Cowboys too. And then the Bills
the Buffalo jumped up ahead. The Cowboys were like, he's falling.
Yep.
And then Buffalo did that, but that was kind of a weird pick for Buffalo, I thought.
Yeah, and the thing was I thought, with all the rumors with DeAndre Hopkins that, they would actually try to make a move. I think they need to add another weapon opposite of Stephon Diggs for Josh Allen. Really, I wanted them to get, possibly Austin Eckler or even Derrick Henry if he really was available. But yeah, I think, with Dalton is, kind of gives you that Travis Kelce, that wide tight end. You can throw him out on the slide. You can throw him.
He's got to protect Allen too, I guess.
Yeah, he's a willing blocker, not a great blocker. Yeah. He will get better. But yeah, it allows the Buffalo Bills to be more consistent, running the ball. You look at what they did in the second round, adding Osiris Torrance out of Florida. He's a people mover. So I think, one of the things I thought about was for Jalen Hurts is if he wants to continue on the road he's going at, he has to continue to run the ball. That's why I wanted Philadelphia to get Bijan. Let's keep the longevity of Jalen Hurts going, because if you look at what's going on with Josh Allen, him having to run the ball, he's starting to take a lot more hits. He's starting to deal with some of these injuries. He's taking a lot more of the pressure and putting it on himself.
Yeah, and I almost feel that that's a different situation with Josh. I think it's a different mental set than Jalen. It just seems like he relishes in that, put it on my shoulders, I'm going to go do something.
I don't think you can stop him. Even
Well,
if he's
I think, that's just the football instincts right there. And I feel like Jalen Hurts, you look at what he did in the Super Bowl, taking it 3 times by himself, I get it. Maybe a different situation. You're in the Super Bowl. You want the ball in the hands of the guy you trust the most. But at the end of the day, you want to protect the longevity of your quarterback.
So who do you takeaways as far as some head scratchers? I did think Atlanta's first pick, and I can't remember the kid's name, weighs 166 pounds.
The Washington Commanders, they took Emmanuel Forbes.
I just thought that was kind of, in the NFL nowadays, to weigh about as much as a high fashion model.
Yeah, but go into the weight room, eat some protein powder, put some on that frame. It's a 6 foot 1 inch frame.
Yeah,
6 foot 1 inch frame, 166 pounds, and Derrick Henry's barreling down on you. Who's going to win that fight?
Well, Forbes, when he goes, whoop.
Get out the way. And the position was correct for the Commanders, who, obviously they do need a quarterback. Surprised that they didn't take a shot at Will Levis or Hernan Hooker in the second round. But, I think, skipping out on Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. This is a guy who's extremely versatile, plays inside, outside, safety. If you watch him run, he looks like a wide receiver. He's just so smooth. Yeah. He comes from a family of track runners as well. So, I might be a scheme fit, but I just feel like Christian Gonzalez, you could put him anywhere on the field and, just doesn't make sense for the Commanders.
My other head scratcher was the Giants traded up. I can't remember the name of the. Do you know who the Giants' first round draft pick was, Bob?
Yeah, hold on. I'm
Deontay Banks.
Oh, but it didn't make sense because I don't think he was a guy that was going to, and it cost him some back picks, like a 4th or 5th, I think, to move up one to snag him. I just thought it was kind of weird.
The Giants, I believe that, they moved up a little bit to get him. Definitely was a position of need, and I think for them, they wanted Deontay Banks. He's 6'2", big, long, physical corner. I think he kind of fits the mold of what they want in the defensive back room, because some of the other guys that they have are the smaller, skinnier guys. And then I think it's just super important. You look at the Giants and the Commanders, what they do. They drafted defensive backs, because in the NFC East, you have to cover guys like CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, and guys like that. So I think, it made sense moving up because there's kind of, you could kind of see the little runs. There was a run on offensive tackles.
I think they only moved up one, didn't they? One spot?
Yeah. No, that pick was.
I thought they went from 24 to 23. I could be wrong. Who are your losers while he's looking that up?
So the losers for me, I know this is going to be a big shocker, but I've been mulling this over all weekend, and I think it's the Chicago Bears.
Really?
Yeah, so I get it. Trading for the trade that they made was a really good trade. The problem I have is you move from pick number 1 to pick number 9. Now you lose out on an opportunity to get the best player in the draft. Okay. And, I understand that they have Justin Fields. I would rather have Justin Fields over these guys, right now for sure. But the thing is you trade back one spot to get the second best offensive tackle when you could have gotten the best player with the 9th overall pick. You know, and I look at that team and yeah, they've done a really good job in adding some guys to the offensive line already. They've added some linebackers. They added the wide receiver in DJ Moore. Great trade. Yeah. But I just feel like you have an opportunity to get a once-in-a-generation type player at number 9 overall, and you skipped out on that. Yeah. Like, you know, I get it. You want to show Justin Fields that, hey, we're invested in you. Yeah. I say get Jalen Carter right there at 9. And then in the second round, they could have traded for a guy like Jonah Williams, who is right now not very happy in Cincy. You could have given up a second-round pick. I think Cincy would have jumped on that really quick.
Probably would have.
And you would have gotten a proven commodity at right tackle already. Don't get me wrong. I love Darnell Wright. I mean, his size, he's going to be a great right tackle. I could understand if this was the best offensive tackle in this draft, like Paris Johnson, but it was the second best offensive tackle versus the best player in the draft.
Yep.
You know, and that's where I feel like they just completely missed. And then, you know, you look at their draft, their second and third round were defensive tackles.
Yeah.
You know, and it
was
just
strange.
It just, you know, and they don't have any edge rushers, which is a position they should have addressed, but they didn't at all. So that's why I just feel like the Bears draft just did not make any sense whatsoever.
They still have a lot of issues, but at least they got some receiver help now for Fields, which he virtually had none last year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, DJ Moore, you know, proven.
Did you know that DJ Moore, by being traded to Chicago, instantly becomes the receiver with the most yards that Chicago's ever had in their history?
Whoa. No, I did not know that.
He's got more yards in his career than any previous player that played for Chicago, drafted and played for him. Sorry.
Well, I mean, the Bears have never really had that much of a pass-heavy
they've
offense.
Even Brandon Marshall?
Pound and ground. Yeah.
Matt Forte?
Yeah, I mean...
He's got 5,800, I think, career receiving yards right now.
Justin Fields may be the best quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had.
Oh, I still love McMahon.
Well, yeah, I like McMahon for a lot of reasons.
McMahon's a winner.
Yeah. McMahon, okay. So how about the Cowboys? Though I want to tell Carlos a story, because breaking news. Have you heard that they're now going to have weddings at AT&T Stadium?
Why is that?
Because Jerry Jones figures it's the only way he can get a ring in that building.
Yeah, so it's funny. So I'm actually a Cowboys fan. I'm not like one of those, selfish, loud, obnoxious Cowboys fan.
Which is every other Cowboys fan.
Yeah. There's like usually one in every 3 of us, really. But I think for me, I'm a realist. I love the game of football. That's why I kind of started my own little podcast. So I'm actually very.
As a Cowboy fan, this has to be hurting you.
Yeah, I'm very hard on my Cowboys. Yeah. Nobody will, dump a bunch of crap on them more than me, But looking at what they did in the draft, the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, I will say this, he does somehow nail the first round and the second round. But I just feel like everything else after that just kind of falls apart. Yeah. And you could kind of see the way that the roster is constructed. They have guys at the same position drafted in multiple rounds. There was a year that they had 11 picks. 7 of them were all defensive players, and most of these guys haven't played a single snap other than Trevon Diggs.
They missed so bad, they're talking about bringing Zeke back.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll bring him back.
I heard the Bengals a couple weeks ago, and now there's a rumor that they.
Yeah, but
I will say this.
I would bring him back.
Jerry has a love affair. Yeah. Jerry does have a love affair with.
Not for $22 million. Not for $22 million.
No, league min with heavy incentives.
No, I mean, league minimum, because he doesn't perform any better than the average running back in the NFL. Look at his stats past the season.
But I will say this. If I'm 3 yards from the end zone, Zeke will get it in for you still.
No, he actually struggled. He actually struggled on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations.
No, I'm talking about in the end zone.
Yes.
He had 14 rushing touchdowns last
year. Yes. I do understand that, but in critical moments, in critical situations, there was times where they gave it to him more than once, and he couldn't get that 1 yard, and you're just kind of thinking like, he's Mike Tolbert. Like, I know that somebody had made fun of him, calling him the Mike Tolbert, but he, overpaid, fullback.
Well, yeah.
I feel like the running game got better after we released him, and I know it's hard to say because he's a fan favorite. I know he does a lot for the Dallas
Locker room
community,
likes
stuff
him,
like that, but
presence.
for a football standpoint, getting rid of him made the running game better. I've been saying this for years, Tony Pollard, he has CMC type abilities.
But there's question marks now. I mean, when's he going to be ready?
The injuries are going to be tough. And, I like the kid that they got in the 6th round, Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
Played up at Kansas State. He's originally from Austin. I had a friend that went to high school with him.
Yeah.
You saw the video of his dad calling him, so cool. It's one of those things where it's a hometown kid. He's going to play hard. And I feel like that's a good spot for him. I don't necessarily love the pick. I wanted maybe a little bit bigger, more durable back than Deuce. Deuce is about, I think, like 5'5". He's kind of Philip Lindsay-esque, but he'll have some opportunity if Tony Pollard's not healthy. So, and he's got some juice.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the Cowboys' success to me rests with Dak. What Dak's going to show up? Is it going to be bad Dak or rookie year Dak?
I'm outside looking in. I don't think that's the key. I think it's on coaching. I think all the problems that Cowboys have been in the coaching room.
Yeah.
And I think the problems that Prescott have been due to not great coaching.
So will McCarthy be the answer now that he's running the show?
No, he's not. No, he's not. And Schottenheimer being the offensive whatever the hell they're going to give him a title for, not going to be it either.
I think this coaching thing's a little overrated. So does Greg Popovich, is he a bad coach because the Spurs suck?
No, he's
no.
Greg Popovich is a great coach because they still won 20 some odd games, and that team sucks.
Yeah, but Dallas didn't really have. Well, I don't know.
Well, Dallas is just too talented to not win some of these games, and if you look at the way that the season played out last year, the games they were supposed to win that they lost. And then the games that they were supposed to lose.
But they've been doing that for 20 years.
Yeah.
I watch these fucking guys, man.
Yeah. And I just think that comes down to, like you said, coaching. You look at, the Bill Parcells era, he kind of has foot on everybody's throat.
Yeah.
And right now, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy are kind of just,
yeah,
cool, we're just here.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott in the end of a playoff game doing that stuff with the ball, that's coaching.
Yeah, I mean, he called that last play, against the 49ers. And I think, I think one of the reasons why Dan Quinn didn't leave is because
in waiting?
Yeah, because I was surprised he stayed the last 2 seasons already. So I'm hoping that he has a bigger picture in mind.
But staying with that defense, I mean, nobody faults the Cowboys on the defensive side. We really, really don't. There was a couple games where it seems they didn't show up towards the back end of the season, but nobody faults that defense.
Well, one thing we do know, folks, it's going to be an interesting NFL season. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And we'll have you back for sure, man. Hope you had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Give a shout out to your little pod.
Yeah. So if you you're listening to this podcast, I have a podcast of my own. It's called Go for Two with Cargo. And basically I just kind of run through, everything in the off season. I break down rosters, go through all the names, the names you should know and stuff like that, leading up to your fantasy football season as well. And then I cover everything in season as well, some of the big headlines. So go give me a follow. Go for Two podcast with Cargo.
Well, Carlos, we picked you up here at To The Max Sports in the first round, so
hey,
we're gonna have you back, man. We're hoping you're a Hall of Famer with us.
No, I'm excited. I'm super grateful that you guys brought me on. I know we literally just met a couple of days ago, so when I kind of listened to your podcast, I got really excited, and I truly enjoy doing this. It's
cool.
The only thing we're missing is a couple of beers at the bar.
Hey, man,
that's the joke.
Definitely do it. That's the joke in the intro. Well, folks, y'all have a great weekend. We may do a show with Max later in the week. You're more than welcome to come back if you're not working. And until then, anything else, Brother Bob?
No, I think I'm good. It's going to be an interesting. We got what is it, 3 or 4 weeks before the schedule drops?
Yeah.
And we got OTAs. That's what I'm watching on the OTAs. Does Aaron Rodgers show up? Because
I don't care.
He needed to get that in there.
One thing the NFL has mastered, we talk about them year round. And there's not many sports that we can say that about anymore.
The draft drew 11 million. How many people watched the Warriors in an epic Game 7 against the Kings?
That's true.
Dream team.
They've mastered it.
And what is the draft? It's an announcement show.
Yep.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah,
The NFL does a great job with it.
it does.
Folks, until then, we'll see you next week. And again, OH.
We're out.
All right.